Hello, everyone. This is Real Time TV. This is my first live that I'm actually doing. I normally do recorded commentary, and I just came out here just to speak. I wanted to share a video of what I was supposed to do during the week, but I guess I'll do a reaction to it. But first, I want to speak on the tragedy that happened, and it's really sad. My heart goes out to the parents of those kids, sisters and brothers was lost today, grandkids was lost today, nieces and nephews was lost today. Even the teacher that was lost, somebody's wife, somebody's mother, somebody's grandmother, somebody's sister, somebody's niece. It is so sad, and the grandmother that was lost also. So my prayers go out to those families, and my heart bleed. I could not fathom sending my child to school thinking that at 3 o'clock, all I gotta worry about is my child getting home and getting in the house, or getting off the bus, or being there to pick them up when school is over. So, one parent to another, it's really, really tragedy. So that's why I wasn't sure if I wasn't gonna come on tonight and share the video that I was going to share about CERN and a lot of the stuff I lost. Um, so what I'm going to do, it's a reaction. It's from one of my series of Is This the End? Are we near the end? So that's what the series part is. That's part one that I'm actually doing. So I'm going to actually get started with this reaction. On this video. And before I get started, CERN it houses the largest hydro collider. It's really big. So what they're trying to find is the God particle. And that's just layman's terms to say that it's really talking about the Big Bang. What happened whenever creation was first created, when the Big Bang happened. They're trying to look for all those particles that happen and what they can find in there. So there's also some weird stuff that's going on there. If all you're trying to do is find the God particle, if that's all you're trying to do. So it looks more to me that more is going on than just finding um, the God particles, is what they're calling it on there. And I do want to say that the scientists at CERN isn't just weirdo scientists. These are the guys that invented the WW dot, the World Wide Web. It was actually invented in 1989. That's right. They won, I want to say, Nobel Prize for it, for different things. So they're not just anybody. They're the real deals when it comes to world changers on here. CERN also has a 23 member states of the European nation that actually also invest in to CERN. So it's a really, really big deal on that one. What else that I wanted you to know about CERN? So it actually started in 2008 with them creating that Hadron Collider. That's when it they actually put it out there and it went online. So, and as you see in the video, it's going to talk a few things about it and maybe show a few how it really works. So, the guy that's in the video that's narrating it is Thomas Horn. He's written a lot of books. Lots of his books that he has written, people think that it's weirdo stuff or uh, um, conspiracy theories. But a lot of his books are coming to pass. So he's the one that's going to be narrating. He's the one that's always um, shouting out to let people know what's going on in the dark. So I'm going to pull up that video. And that video was brought to us by End Times Production. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do a reaction to that video in just a moment. So just bear with me while I get that done.
Even Adam wrote of CERN a while back. HC CERN are expecting to find other dimensions and open portals to these dimensions. If you have the image
Wait, hold on. Let me try to get this thing to come on the screen. Okay, so we're going to start it all the way back from the beginning. So I'm going to stop it right there. That gateway. I don't know if many of you remember there used to be a TV show that used to play called Stargate. And it was basically about um, this team, this underground government team would travel to different worlds using the Stargate, the round structure that they would walk into and then walk out of different worlds to come back into this world. Um, I find that fascinating that he talked about that. And you know, the Bible does say any imagination that man will think of, he will do. So it's sort of weird that every time we have a movie, look like years down the line, here it comes. So the whole thing with CERN is, are you really just looking for the God particle? Or are you trying to open portals? So that is the dark side behind it. So we're gonna continue watching the video. I might have to rewind it back just a little bit.
Expert mentioning by the register, which means logging into science and technology. And he didn't hesitate with an enlightening response. Yes, out of this door might come something, or we might send something through it. Now, prophecy in numerous parts of the Bible refer to a coming day when portals will be open and spiritual entities are going to pass through and come to the earth. Now, if that's true, and if those verses are accepted for their literal meaning and not written off as some kind of poetic allegory, as some scholars have claimed, then the idea of CERN playing with gateways is a major concern.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
And if, as CERN claims, they're only out to explore space, time, matter, particles, and the origin of our known universe and planets from exclusively a scientific or Darwinian related perspective, if their agenda is unrelated to Bible prophecy entirely, then what is it with all this mystical symbolism that they knowingly are associating themselves with? Wouldn't it be more appropriate for them just to proudly display a polished statue of a particle or some artist depiction of the Big Bang instead of the statue of Shiva? For those who have not yet heard about this controversial piece of art that CERN proudly exhibits between buildings 39 and 40 near the main building of their operation, it stands as really the most visible and celebrated imagery behind their work, Shiva. This is the Hindu god of destruction.
So I find it funny that most companies, when they have a symbol of art of anything, it's always going to be something that symbolizes that company. Like this company deals with a lot of science stuff. You would think it would have maybe the atoms, the protons, the molecules, some kind of symbol that has something to do with science or the finding of evidence of science. So the question goes, why would you put that statue of Shiva that means destroyer of worlds. Why would you want to put that type of statue? And you can't say it's religion because yes, it's religion. It belongs to the Hindus, but it don't mean nothing that I see where it is good. So why that statue? Why that? So that right there got the goosebumps up, and strike two for this one. So this is strike two about this right here. I'm gonna say fair use to using the end times production video. It's also educational about CERN as well. So let's take a look about this so-called finding the God particle.
In 2004, the government of India, which has had a long-standing friendship with leaders behind the CERN project even before the completion of the Large Hadron Collider, they gifted CERN with this bronze work of an art depicting Shiva as Nataraja, the lord or sometimes king of the dance. This dance that Shiva performs uh, uh, in the sculpture is the one that provides the source of the creation cycle in Hindu mythology, the preservation of all life in existence and the termination of all life in existence. The Rudra Tandava is a dance that especially displays Shiva's sadistic personality as he rains down the ultimate destruction upon a weary planet. The plaque at the side beside the statue, however, reads in part, hundreds of years ago, Indian artists created visual images of dancing Shivas in a beautiful series of bronzes. In our time, physicists have used the most advanced technology to portray the patterns of the cosmic dance. The metaphor of the cosmic dance thus unifies ancient mythology, religious art, and modern physics. So, right there out in the open for all to see is a direct correlation between the Hindu perception of Shiva hundreds of years ago, which is the concept of destroyer that I explained a moment ago, and our time, unifying, quote, ancient mythology, religious art, and modern physics.
Something is going on. You think everything's a conspiracy. Everything is.
Additionally, and perhaps even more important, there's a significant section of CERN that is built upon the St. Genus Poili, which is a commune in Ain, a department of France. In Roman times, the St. Genus Poili was called Apaliacum, but the town and a temple were dedicated there in ancient times to Apollyon, the destroyer, the Shiva Horus, if you will. Apollyon is also the angel of the bottomless pit, referred to in Revelation 9:11. And then there is a connection between CERN and the Gothard Base Tunnel, the GBT, which is the world's deepest and longest tunnel system, consisting of two parallel passages, each moving in a single direction on a single track. The GBT passes directly beneath St. Gothard's Pass, a strategic north-south corridor that connects northern and southern Switzerland. The connection to the Large Hadron Collider has to be made primarily because of the bizarre opening ceremony that was live streamed to the entire world on June 1, 2006.
Okay, so we're gonna get back to that. Everything has a meaning. Like when he was talk Thomas Horn was talking about Apollo, what all these different gods mean, destroyer of worlds. And it is the truth. In Revelation, it does say Apollo is in at guards the bottomless pit before the devil comes out. Satan himself comes up. So one must think, why? Why all this if it's just science people? Science people, remember, majority of them are atheists. They don't really believe. They only believe what their eyes can see. I want y'all to look into this more and see as this goes on and they show exactly what these science people are doing. Watch this next clip.
16 that included this highly occult, demonic dance with characterization, beginning with a call to unite the religions of the world by conducting an interfaith blessing of the tunnel beside a statue of St. Barbara, the patron saint of miners. Following the blessing at the statue of St. Barbara, the press, along with visiting dignitaries, also paid tribute to the 9 miners who had lost their lives during construction of the tunnel. Bodillo's southern portal provided the visiting dignitaries a disturbing parade, really, of miners, erotic dancers, zombies, fallen angels.
Now, before I get to that clip, 9 miners lost their life in building this tunnel. You know, you always need a good sacrifice when you're about to do something, open something up. So they blessed it. Now you saw a Christian priest bless the tunnel. Now watch what comes in after that.
All of whom were obeying the call of what they called the shepherd, whose yodels invoked the appearance of the event's infernal master of ceremonies, a goat man, portrayed by a young and energetic dancing male. This creature is shown with a Baphomet headdress, a goat demon's head, if you will, and a goat body costume with a hairy pelt, and then it had a formal tuxedo over the top. The imagery was heavily evocative of the German and Bavarian Christmas demon known as Krampus. Now, according to tradition, Krampus accompanies St. Nicholas on his midwinter rounds with the intent to steal boys and girls, putting them into a basket carried on his back, or he may decide to beat them with branches for being naughty. Maurice Bruce published a book on pre-Christian Alpine traditions in 1958, and he had this to say about the half-goat, half-demon entity. There seems to be little doubt as to the true identity, for in no other form is the full regalia of the horned god of the witches so well preserved. The birch, apart from its phallic significance, may have a connection with the initiation rites of certain witch covens, rites which entailed binding and scourging as a form of mock death. The chains could have been introduced in a Christian attempt to bind the devil, but again, they could be a remnant of pagan initiation rites. Many show the goat man in formal dress and a tuxedo style cutaway formal coat and trousers, but with his usual horned goat face and always with his tongue extended. Now, this tongue out pose seems to be popular with ancient Hindu, Babylonian, Egyptian, Greek, or even British. For some reason, the coat of arms from the Prince of Wales supports both a lion and a unicorn with their tongues extended, for instance. More than likely, this tongue position represents sex magic, fornicating with fallen angels. The ancient symbol of the horned
I would like to say something about that with the tongue out. And all that is geared to children. What is going on now? Strange things trying to groom children. And that devil you see with the tongue out is a very, very, very immoral creature. That type of spirit. So, you mean to tell me that's what you want to put out there? That's what you want to show of what you're representing. But yet you're supposed to be finding the God particle, not all this other stuff. Dancing with all these different types of satanic type of pagan um, things that they're doing. Now I can't say I won't say a company when they're having a grand opening or stuff like that, they can't put on a great show. But how many companies you know put out satanic shows and put out shows that um, have demons that mean to harm kids? How many companies do you see that? And to be honest, I have never seen it, especially someone dealing in science. So that's another thought. So that right there, that's strike three. That's strike three. Notice what's let out in the world today. That right there been running since 2008. They shut down in 2016 and it was recently turned back on and they found another particle, particle X, which they don't even know what it is or what it could be do or what it can do. And I'm going to show you that video after this one. So let's finish watching how they're having their celebration. But remember, these are science people. They really don't believe in this stuff. Or do they? Let's watch.
to God, referenced by Maureen Bruce in the quote that I made a moment ago. It allows us to connect our goat demon from the opening ceremony at the GBT to CERN, despite the fact that the Large Hadron Collider sits 3 to 4 hours down a twisty road from the location. The horn god's circular logic and passion for human depravity, Hernunos, as is sometimes called, or Cernunos, or the Green Man of British lore, simply had to make an appearance at this occult ceremony. Josh Peck and I, and many other researchers have written extensively regarding the in-game plans for tunneling beneath the earth and smashing atoms to smithereens as nothing more than a thinly veiled attempt to open portals. But the opening ceremony at Gotthard made it clear that these portals are intended to do something else, and that is to release demonic entities. The twin tunnels of the Gothard base tunnel commence with twin portals on a single track. These northward and southward journeys symbolize the death, birth, death cycle of the Green Man, who dies in the fall and winter and rises in the spring summer. The tunnel ceremony was all about sex rights and rebirth, leading to a new world order that's a complete reversal of the Judeo Christian design. This included the triple goddess and the horned god, along with human sacrifice and a return to pagan worship, all of which lie at the center of this nauseating ritual play, which you can probably still watch on YouTube. Dancers dressed as miners climbed this rock face and they dug into the earth, so to speak, to unveil what was beneath the earth, a great machine formed from human arms that rotated and churned into various shapes and designs, many of which resembled the Large Hadron Collider at.
I want y'all to catch it. Now remember, you hear a lot of this term of reimagine the world, the Great Reset. All this means one thing: to bring in that certain type of evil, which they don't see it as evil. Also, when you hear them say bringing down the patriarchy, the world was made in the eyes of the patriarchy, whether we like it or not. It was set in stone by God. And no matter how we try to change it, that's not going to happen. And you even heard Thomas Horn said that it was to bring in all kind of gender confusion. Now, this video was made a little while ago, not too long ago, but it was made before too much confusion came in. I want to say maybe about 2 years ago it was made. So that should tell you something. Look how much changed since 2 years ago. And these people, they don't know what they're ushering in, or maybe they do, and they may think that it's best. I don't know, but it's not right, and they're not the only one that's doing this. That is um, trying to usher in something that is said to be light, but is really darkness. Remember, the Antichrist only comes once everything is falling apart. Financial, the banks, the food, everything is broken up. And then he rises. Notice what's going on. That's when he comes. He comes in like a hero. I'm going to play this.
CERN. Once this opening was achieved, the miners stripped off their orange jumpsuit attire and took up arms. That is, they used staves to perform a dance routine that looked like warfare. It was this forensic dance that aroused a giant. So clearly, the endeavor um, connected to CERN is far more than Switzerland's braggadocio about an engineering feat. The connection between CERN and ritualistic summoning of a sleeping giant, the horned god of Cernunnos, or even Melkart. Both are types of the rising, dying god, and Melkart slept for half the year, which may be why Elijah told the priests of Baal to call louder because he might be sleeping. Of course, I can only speculate, but I note the connection between Nimrod, Apollo, and Abaddon, Apollyon at CERN, and the history of the region are all highly curious. Apollo was worshipped by the Romans of that area, as well as the Greeks and in central France. Apollo was equated with the Celtic god Atep Omerus. These two characters were combined to create Apollo Atep Omerus, which can be translated as great horseman or possessing a great horse. In the Celtic belief, horses were closely related to the sun. The interesting thing to note is the connection between this idea of Apollo being associated with horses in France, where part of the LHC and CERN resides, and what the book of Revelation states about Abaddon, where it says, "And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon." End quote. I also note that Revelation chapter 9, after describing how these devil worshippers will be judged during the Great Tribulation period, it ends in verse 21 saying, "Neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries," which is the Greek pharmakia, "nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts." Now, pharmakia is the word that describes the ancient occultic effort to use mind expanding drugs during rituals in order to open a doorway for making contact with unseen supernatural entities. So, given these descriptions, is it possible that CERN will have something to do with the opening of the bottomless pit described in Revelation 9?
Okay, so we saw that will CERN have a hand to do in opening the bottomless pit. That's what they want to do. But we know that um, God controls that, and sometimes God allows things to happen. You know, He allowed man to do whatever in the will that man wants to do. If they want to go open that, well, then go right on ahead. You're not gonna like what you see, but we all know we gotta stay prayed up, stay watchful, because it's the little things that we miss, and they do it right out in the open, but we miss it because we're so concerned with the ooh and the ah. But when you take it all apart, you see what's really going on. So this is the second video that I'm gonna bring in of the ooh and the ah. So this is fair use.
Scientists from MIT and elsewhere has used one of the main detectors at the Large Hadron Collider, the so-called Compact Muon Solenoid, or CMS, to track down mysterious X particles, which haven't existed in nature since shortly after the Big Bang, 13.8 billion years ago. In the first fraction of a second after the Big Bang, the universe was filled with an incredibly hot mixture of quarks and gluons, the main building blocks of matter today. The particles in this quark-gluon plasma briefly stuck together in many different ways before cooling and combining to form the protons and neutrons of ordinary matter. In the confusion before cooling, some of the quarks and gluons collided randomly to form short-lived X particles. For years, physicists have speculated that it should be possible to create X particles in high-energy accelerators such as the LHC, which for brief moments can generate a quark-gluon plasma. Now a definite signal of X particles at the LHC has been found. The team that made the breakthrough used machine learning techniques to sift through more than 13 billion collisions, each of which produced huge numbers of charged particles. Amid this dense, high-energy particle soup, the researchers identified about 100 X particles of a type known as X3872, named for the particle's estimated mass. In fact, this isn't the first time the X3872 has been seen. X3872 particles were actually discovered in 2003 by the Bell experiment, a detector attached to a collider in Japan. But the rare particles decay so quickly that scientists weren't able on that occasion to find out anything about their structure. One possibility is that X particles are a kind of tetraquark, an exotic particle made from a combination of 4 quarks. Another suggestion is that the X3872 is a kind of molecule made not of atoms, but of 2 loosely bound mesons, particles which are themselves made from 2 quarks. Over the next year or two, the team behind the new announcement hope to probe the X particle's internal structure by looking in more detail at how it decays. If the X3872 is a tetraquark, it should decay more slowly than if it were a loosely bound molecule. Their ongoing research will hopefully shed more light on the fundamental nature of matter and the type of particle reactions that took place at the dawn of time.
So that's the ooh and the ah that you, that's the story they tell. So this was just found. So that's the ooh, the ah, oh, wow. But that ain't the backstory. So the front story, we're just trying to find the particles that was what made up the Big Bang. The Big Bang. That's all. No, nothing to see here. Keep it going. Yeah, no, you're not gonna get me with that one. So that's why I say that we have to be careful. And I know some people say, "Oh, it's just conspiracy theory." It could be, but everything may end up as a conspiracy theory might be true, because a lot of things that were considered conspiracy theories are coming to light. So I'll bring more videos, more of these things of what's going on, and a lot of things from the World Economic Forum I'm going to bring those videos. And this is out in the open, telling you what they want to do. But they know we have become so um so complicit. And when I say we, I'm talking about everybody, every race. We're just sleeping and just waiting for the next ooh ah to to be invented, and not really noticing that they're just creating something behind your back that's not going to mean no good for you. Nothing good for you. So, on that note, I'm just trying to get in my other screen to share if I can before we end this live. And I just wanted to say I lost all my videos, all my intros and outros. I lost everything. I don't know what happened. So, yeah. And then there's that. There's that on that part. So, I'm gonna let this play. It is just my little intro, outro. But I want everybody keep your eyes open. Don't close your eyes for nothing.